Dragon Lord is basically the German version of Chris Chan, except he fights back on trolls a bit harder, but in an equally pathetic way. The internet follows the developments in his life, like his house succumbing more and more after he made his mother and sister flee. His house deteriorated so much that basically only one room is livable and the rest of the entire house are sealed off due to garbage. After he doxed himself, in a brilliant move to outsmart the haters, people have been going on what they call the Dragon Pilgrimage and trolling him IRL, resulting in many charges on both sides. This is a story where there are no winners. In 2014, one of his trolls sent his sister a message using text-to-speech. Dragon Lord was so outraged that he challenged the anonymous troll to an IRL fight and set his address in the video for all of YouTube to see.
Wer auch immer das war, traut euch, kommt zu mir als Schauerberg 8 in 91448 Emskirchen. Prügel die Scheiße aus euch raus. Das ist genau die Scheiße, auf die ich keinen Bock hab.
No one to this day knows what triggered him to be this monumentally stupid, but the consequences were obvious. The pilgrimage started. Because of the name Dragon Lord, they started calling his house the Dragon Bunker and made the long drive to the middle of nowhere to honor the Dragon Lord. Ironically, his YouTube venture actually started because his father passed away and left the three his house, which Dragon Lord made his first video on. Similarly to Wings, Darkside Phil and so on, he also ended up making a gaming channel too, but more on that later. When people came to the Dragon Bunker, they would provoke him by yelling from the street at him to be quiet and calling him a son of a bitch for some reason. Though people quickly realized that no provocation was needed at all, since he went into a rage on anyone he saw outside his window.
Ruhe, Rainer, du! Ruhe! Rainer! Rainer, Ruhe!
At first his defense of choice was this wooden stick that he intimidated people with. Wow. Look at this scary stick. When the people who went on the pilgrimage graduated to throwing stuff at his house, like eggs and painting his rotting wooden fence, he also upped the defense and started using this hose to defend the bunker.
Nein, überhaupt nicht! Ich fühle mich nur noch als Hurensohn in dem Teil angepisst! Junge, halt's Maul!
Then people started blowing off fireworks in front of his house, especially when he was streaming, since this was a form of trolling he couldn't ignore, if he wanted to or not.
Da fliegt die Bombe. Und jetzt passt auf.
Obviously, he had to up the defense once again, after the big stick and water hose weren't enough anymore, so he graduated to using this very bright flashlight.
Bist doch mal so feiger Wichser, hä? Reiß nur das Maul weit auf! Hast du keine Eier in der Hose, du Hurensohn!
Reini!
Ja, komm her! Mal schauen, ob du einen Vorschlag von mir überlebst, du Hurensohn!
One trolling campaign went too far for some people in the hater community who play the so-called dragon game, and it's probably the only trolling that he didn't fully deserve. During what is now known as Mad Week, after the name of a German dish consisting of raw pig meat on white bread with onion, a girl known as Strawberry catfished him into believing that the two had a romantic relationship. He proposed to her on stream, after which she revealed that she merely trolled him and insulted him in front of 4,000 live viewers.
Also im Prinzip will ich dich hier live fragen, ob du mich heiraten willst.
Oh Mann. Ist das dein Ernst?
Mach oh mal ein Rückwandstück, das ist ja großartig.
Ich hab gesagt. Und ich stehe dazu. Ihr habt mich verarscht. Bitteschön.
Next to his gaming channel, Dragon Lord made a new channel on a different platform that I can't say the name of, but needless to say, it's not something anyone wants to see. His openness on the subject definitely went too far as well, like when he got a question on stream asking about his size and which toys he owns and recommends. Apparently it's 16 centimeters according to him, which would be around 6 inches, and he adamantly claims how proud he is of that length and that he wouldn't want to change it. Although he still had never been with a woman, he found creative ways around this issue and used an inflatable doll for the scenes that he filmed. In 2018, the trolls upped the antics again, resulting in a 200-person pilgrimage, filled with arrests and riot police showing up. Schanzenfest is a leftist festival held in north of Germany every year, though this year trolls decided that it should be held in his village instead, mainly in front of his house. And the campaign worked. Around 200 people showed up for a massive pilgrimage to the Dragon Bunker. Every policeman from the surrounding area came once it started, but by the time they showed up, things were already in full swing. Contrary to the actual festival goers, however, these trolls were a different kind of person and started vandalizing the city, starting fires, blowing fireworks again and messing around with liquid acrylic-based paint. Many got arrested, and the police struggled to keep people in crowds who were having a field day dispersing and causing havoc. But not Dragonlord, who was smart enough this time to stay in his house, not even streaming, not reacting to the trolls at all, and simply hiding in his room with the lights off. The festival and the damage it caused was so big that for the following years the police arrived long before the day of the festival, even cutting off access into the town. People still tried for a few years after that, but were asked to turn their car around unless they could prove that they live in the area or have a good reason to be there. It was summer at this point, and people with time on their hands and nice weather kept rushing to his house for a big pilgrimage month, in which they came up to his house almost every day, even being chased off by Dragonlord on the street, who threatened to fight them, often even going full monkey and throwing sticks and rocks at them. The haters also trolled news stations in multiple countries like Turkey and Japan, telling them that he was the perpetrator in heinous stuff like mass shootings, which they often believed due to the photos of Dragonlord that exist with a fitting demeanor.
30 человек. Этот расстрел устроил 18-летний гражданин Германии иранского происхождения. Вот предположительно его первое фото.
After all the trouble caused by Dragonlord and his trolls, the government and county of his town started trying to get rid of him. Interviews were being held with other residents of that area who were all equally affected by his constant screaming, walking around town with sticks, and the constant trolls driving through the town causing mischief. The first thing the government did to stop him was to hit him with a cease and desist for his online streams, by saying that he is not in possession of a broadcasting license, which due to an outdated law he must have if he is streaming to more than 2,000 individual viewers in the span of a month. Apparently one of his trolls submitted an application for him, knowing his name and house, and made claims in the submission that would guarantee that it would be denied. However, Dragonlord would have received other letters since he is the return address on the application and claims that he never did. So it's possible that he messed up the application himself due to his incompetence with the legal system that we will see much more of as the story progresses. By the way, his streams sucked. All he did most of the time is sing to himself while scrolling on his phone, struggle with basic math and fighting the countless fruit flies that infested his house. Like the time someone said the word 3-digit number and he really tried to get to the bottom of how numbers work.
Dreistellig ist doch im Normalfall Tausender-Bereich, oder? Oder ist das Hunderter-Bereich? Weil,
Oder wird es immer nach dem Ding, na, wohl andererseits Einschlägebereich müsste 1 bis 90 sein, ne? Bis 9 sein, ne?
Occasionally he tried to be esoteric and drop some nuggets of wisdom, like during his winter streams saying, quote, "Today is Christmas and I only celebrate with my close family, wife and kids. But since I have none of these, I'm celebrating alone." Although it might sound sad, it just reflects his character and people weren't sympathetic after finding out he has a family who just want nothing to do with him because of his antics, slowly alienating everyone in his family and making them move out of the house that was left an equal share to his mother and sister originally. The house succumbed so much that he spent all his time in a single room because the other rooms were taken over by fruit flies and garbage to the point he couldn't go in these rooms anymore, so he just sealed them off instead of cleaning.
Into the mount. I play.
Once during a livestream, a troll tried to use reverse psychology to get him to stand up from the sofa without the use of his hands, which they claimed would be impossible due to his weight. After delivering the infamous "I can, I just don't want to" line, he arrogantly says, I'm just gonna get up and do something real quick, in the most nonchalant manner he can do. He repositions the camera to show his hands and upper torso and tries to be discreet about it, after which this happens.
Was wollt ihr die ganze Zeit, ob ich ohne Hand aufstehen kann? Könnte ich, mache ich aber nicht. Bin gleich wieder da, Leute. Ach, und was vorhin gefragt wurde... Ach, das Sofa ist immer so tief. Ach, wartet. Das Sofa ist immer so scheiße tief.
He failed to get up from the sofa without using his hands, and that's despite cheating and using his hand to skip to the edge of the seat. You might wonder how Dragonlord financed these shenanigans up until that point. Obviously he lives on welfare because of his inability to work due to his weight. It might at this point be more fitting to call him the German version of Wings of Redemption instead of the German Christian. Similarly to him, he also alienates people one by one who donate in his live streams, because they are trolls, not realizing that these are the only people that donate.
Du weißt aber schon, dass ab 3,5 Tonnen Zusammengewicht. Ich weiß, dass du mir auf den Sack gehst und dass du mich beleidigst und nervst und triggern willst. Und deswegen bann ich dich, das weiß ich.
Meanwhile, the government and residents were still trying to get rid of him by giving him multiple fines that totaled to almost 10,000 euros. He kept throwing stuff at people and hitting them when they showed no signs of wanting to fight, until he was sentenced to probation along with the multiple fines he already had. His probation was violated multiple times, but the judge was lenient with him every time, still clinging on to hope that this time it will be better. This is where the second part of the saga starts, and his house finally gets demolished like the government and citizens wanted, though it happened in a way where there are still no winners. During one week in particular, Dragonlord went too far and hit a guy with a brick, which happened on top of other incidents during the same time. Despite already being on probation, the judge had an unusual amount of compassion for him and really wanted him to change his life for the better, so he gave him a third chance. As a one-time favor, the judge would let him walk, no jail time at all, but he had to delete his YouTube channel and get a job. The court was even willing to pay for his job training and living expenses during his time in training to do everything they can to get him a job in IT, which he expressed an interest in previously. The only condition would be that he had to sell his house and move, since all of the offenses he caught were directly related to haters knowing the address. Keep in mind that all of this happened despite his absolute inappropriate ways and wearing this outfit to court. Dragonlord for the first time agreed to the deal, though not with the intention of actually doing any of that. He actually sold the Dragon Bunker. Since no one was willing to buy it, despite its very low price, the people of the town all chipped in and bought it together with a detailed plan on what to do with it, but more on that later. After he sold the house, he tried to milk the situation for as long as possible, until he was removed from the house with a bunch of police officers. As expected, Dragonlord refused the other parts of the deal, like the part where he would get an actual job. Instead, he combined it with refusing the other part of the deal, which was to move into a different house. He instead decided to buy a used Ford pickup truck with the money from the house and decided to stream his road trip through Germany, which, by the way, Germany is so small that you can drive its entire length across the country in the span of 10 hours. His plan for the road trip was that his haters wouldn't find out his location, since he would always be on the move, completely ignoring the fact that he was the one to give them that information previously. He went on the road trip and everything went as planned for about 2 hours until people found out his exact location and trolled him again, which, to be fair, wasn't difficult because he kept talking about landmarks and describing the cities he went to in detail. Meanwhile, the people of his town tried to clean out the Dragon Bunker, but trolls kept arriving and sneaking into the house to give people some more behind-the-scenes looks and grabbing some souvenirs that they could find. The only option for them at this point was to destroy the house, which they acted on quickly. A bulldozer arrived and the whole house was demolished, after which a large party was held in the neighborhood, complete with barbecues and everything. Dragonlord then, who was still driving around Germany in his truck, was finally sentenced due to all the probation violations, including the violations of the agreement that was put on top of the original probation in form of another probation. He was sentenced to 2 years in jail and was awaiting the appeal. When the day of the appeal came, it went even better than the last time in court. This time, he kept talking about the court date alongside sharing the exact time and date it would take place on. So the trolls who were just fiending for another pilgrimage all got together with kegs of beer and threw a party in front of the courthouse. This time though, Dragonlord had a stroke of luck with a witness in the case. The key witness in the appeal was part of the party and arrived in court, giving his testimony while completely wasted. For some reason he pulled himself together enough not to be held in contempt of court, but was arrested after leaving the courtroom and cussing out everyone on the street. Dragonlord won the appeal, and instead of 2 years and a few months in jail, he only received 1 year of probation, with the only condition being that he would have to report his location to the police every now and then. His journey then could continue, and he even started being a bit more careful with sharing his location. Everything went great apparently, until he had to do an MPU, for reasons we still don't know exactly. An MPU is called an idiot test, more commonly in Germany, and is a test usually done after getting a DUI or accident to make sure the person is still capable mentally and physically to drive a vehicle. Dragonlord, for reasons we also don't know, never showed up to any of the appointments. After his license was revoked, his truck got impounded. He first stayed in hotels until getting banned from many change for his reputation and the fear that trolls might arrive at the hotel and spook other guests. He now has another place, probably in a trailer park, and was actually the first German streamer to get raided in Germany. The German form of a SWAT team found inappropriate material, though it seems to be mostly harmless. Mainly fictional stories he wrote involving animals. Although Dragonlord was unusually lucky with the legal system up until this point, people say that it's only a matter of time before he actually gets locked up because of his continued antics even without trolls knowing his address. I didn't convey his personality very much, because it's all in German and it would get boring if someone is just listening to the video, but basically the more you watch him, the more it seems like he deserved the trolling. Still, I can't help but feel bad for him sometimes, especially the fake proposal stuff. Please subscribe to my channel.